Good evening once again. It's Monday evening and 8 o'clock here, UK time, same as Irish time. And of course, it's the Monday Review Show. If you'd like to make any comments, please do so. There's a little thing on the bottom of your screen there. You can leave your comments there and we certainly read them out once they are non-offensive and all that sort of thing. But please do make your comments. Now, there's only one subject really this week, and anybody who hasn't heard of it must be under a rock or hiding away somewhere, but it concerns the Liverpool, or rather the other way around, Tottenham Hotspur versus Liverpool game on Saturday evening, in which a goal was disallowed and there were 2 red cards for Liverpool, which we're also going to discuss. So I'm delighted to be joined again, once again on this Monday evening by former Premier League referee, former FIFA referee, former head of the PGMOL, Keith Hackett. Good evening once again. Thanks for joining.
Pleasure.
Where can we start, or rather finish, or whatever in between? It's only one subject, and it's the whole issue of this controversy on Saturday evening, where a goal was disallowed. And the whole controversy about VAR. So we'll get to that in just a moment, Keith.
Yes.
But when you and I were refereeing, and we did many times on our own, in fact, without assistant referees, and then we brought in assistant referees, and then they brought in a 4th official, and then somebody came up with the idea about VAR. So what was the procedure without VAR? What was the guys doing?
Well, effectively, we were refereeing games and there was a reliance that decisions made would in fact be those of the referees supported by the 2 assistants and the 4th official. If you remember, UEFA, in fact, at one period added 2 further match officials behind each goal. So there was quite a crowd going to UEFA games at that particular period. But in the Premier League,
just on that, sorry to cut across you on that issue, and I remember it well. The additional assistant referees, if you like, standing at the goal. Why were they always on the side that the assistant referee was on? Why were they not on the other side?
I think the basis of it was that they themselves could see the line and position themselves on the line in relation to the penalty edge parallel to the penalty area. And the idea was that if you had a winger going down the right wing and he cut across and there was a foul takes place, then in that situation, with them being positioned there, they could actually determine whether that foul is inside the box or not. For me, it was a complete overkill. I don't think that there was a justification for that amount of investment, if you like, the money spent to get that system in. And we, as I was the boss of the PGMOL at the time, we were asked the question, and I said, absolutely not. We didn't adopt it. So we had a busload of match officials going out from the Premier League, if you like, Select Group 1, out into Europe to officiate games. And a lot
because I always found that assistant on that side, and just want to apologize to the viewers because the line is not great, and you may find a little bit of a delay in my question to Keith and the reply coming back, and maybe a little bit of a breakup. So I think there's thunder and lightning outside, so that's part of the problem. So apologies for that. But I always felt it would have been better if that additional, whatever we're going to call him, assistant referee standing at the goal post would have been better on the far side, so that he's looking across at the assistant. And there's 2 sets of eyes looking in the same direction, where when he was on the one side, when he needed to turn around, he would actually have his back to the assistant running the line.
I mean, I never thought it was a good procedure. I said so at the time, and I don't think they gained much from it, to be honest. Yeah. But it was if you like, it was a move towards, if you like, it took us about 5 years to introduce goal line technology, and we eventually got approval. We introduced that, and I think that the governing body and FIFA were shocked how good it was and how efficient it was. And I think then they decided that, hey, technology is something to adopt and bring on board. And as a result, some whiz kid somewhere decided to introduce VAR. But in doing so, through the various committees that they have, I think that they tried to reduce its impact by saying, here are the 4 things that you can get involved in: offside, penalty kicks, goals, and mistaken identity. And they made the point very clearly that they had to be clear and obvious errors before the VAR could get involved. And I think all those sort of things leave if you like, some sort of gap between what is clear and obvious, because one referee might see it as clear and obvious, and another, why didn't the referee see that? And then we've had with its introduction, we had in England, by the way, other countries ran it for a year. The MLS ran it the first. The Premier League decided they weren't going to use it. In year 2, they operated without the pitch side monitors. They had the monitors, but only in 380 Premier League games, it was only used 3 times. So the referees were not being encouraged. So in year 3, they started adopting the full process.
So when was VAR first introduced, and in what country do you know that it was first fully used in?
Well, they trialed it in a couple of countries. I think Japan was one of those countries. I can't remember the other. They were satisfied with how it operated, and then we suddenly had it go. I know that I'd addressed a number of people in Portugal. Portugal were very keen to have it. They were pretty quick, but the MLS were the first league to introduce it. Bearing in mind, they have that tradition, don't they, in the American game, to already have in place the equivalent of VAR in terms of replays.
Yeah, indeed, yeah. So getting back then to Saturday evening and the Liverpool situation, when John Brooks decided to go and look at go over to the pitch side monitor,
Simon Hooper.
Look.
Simon Hooper.
Sorry, who did I say?
He was the referee. Yeah.
Oh, sorry, Simon Hooper.
Yeah.
Yes, sorry.
Yeah.
I said John Brooks. Yes,
Yeah,
apologies. Okay. When Simon decided to go over and have a look, why was there no lines that they normally have across the pitch? What do you think happened there?
Well, I think that there was clearly a breakdown in communication. And I think there was also a breakdown in the process. Although I've questioned before, and I've mentioned in the papers today that an airline pilot, before he takes off on the plane, he does a checklist, a formal checklist. And I see no reason why a process and a checklist is not in place with the VAR. So when I listened in to that program that Howard Webb did with Michael Owen, and we were able to listen into the conversations between VAR and the referee, I thought those were confused. There was a lot of chatter. There was a lot of a matey chat, and the specifics weren't very clear. And I can tell you that I come from the basis of having introduced the communication kits. We had open mic to begin with, and the outcome was that we had exactly the same problem. So we had to get the referees in the room and issue a very clear criteria of operation so that there was clarity in the process. It seems to me that the 2 VAR operators, on the basis that the linesman raised his flag, so he indicated that the player was offside. So that started the procedure and the check. And then I am informed that when they did the check, they come out with.
Sorry, Keith, yeah, the line is very bad. Can you just go back where you started?
Yeah,
Can
so
you hear me all right?
the principle is that you had the assistant referee's flag raised for offside, a goal. So now they're
losing power here because of the weather. Can you hear me, Keith?
Yes, I can. Let me just take out the communication and go with the computer. So
yeah,
can you hear me on the computer? Yeah. So I'm sorry about this. If you're able to listen in, we'll try and get Errol no doubt back.